Putting a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is Rift Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Sensitive/offensive content disclaimer. Please note that this podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, Explicit language, occasionally our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to RNN Presents Beacon in the Dark. I am Susan, and
I am Marci.
Just in case you forget, even though the names are there, we're going to tell them you anyway. So this is, of course, on the Rift Nation Network. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all you want. Now, before we get into the show, I would love for everybody to put positive energy and healing light out to Mr. Odell. He just has a bit of pneumonia, so let's send him all kinds of positive, loving, light, healing energy so he can get better soon. So because we don't like to see our family members sick, so everybody, when if you're lighting a candle, or you normally light a candle, or if you pray, that's fine too. Just send out some really positive energy for him. That would be pretty awesome. So today, sorry, I'm a little hyper. Today, we're actually going to talk about what is self-worth. And we're going to get a little bit into that. But the first question would be, what is self-worth? But before we get into that, my little story. We always have a little story. Oh, where's she going?
I turned the light on so we can see me better. I didn't
All right.
go far.
So I have discovered, I think it's when we grow up and we have kids and we get really busy, somewhere along the way, we kind of lose actually taking care of ourselves. What are we worth? And the last, like every other day, I've been to the beach twice, which is something I haven't been to in a long time, or since my mom died. So I haven't been there, and I literally am losing track of time, sore as hell, but losing track of time playing and swimming in the water. High tide, I'm swimming. Low tide, I've got these ridiculous little goggles on, and I'm looking for shells with a little bag tied around my hip. I don't care. I'm having me a good time. So, and I really thought about this, and I'm saying, it kind of matches up. It's worth doing something I enjoy, because is we're growing. We get so freaking busy that we take care of so many other people that we forget to take care of ourselves. And that has a lot to do with self-worth. Welcome, Michelle, and thank you, Renee, so much for sharing us out. I appreciate that. So what is some things you do for yourself? And then I've got a nice little slide here put together for you guys. I thought it would be fun.
It's funny. It was like I was telling Susan, Travis, and I wanted to watch the Andrew McCarthy on the Bratz. Growing up in the 80s. And it's kind of funny with Travis. Is like it's almost like history to him.
Yeah.
He's like, the different emotions. They were brought up with their social media.
Right.
We didn't have any of that stuff.
No, we didn't.
And then I brought up I wanted to see Inside Out 2, which they hired an emotional therapist because they took it very seriously.
Right.
As to how we work with it. She turns 13. I don't know if you guys saw Inside Out 1.
No.
But you got to see it. You want to talk about your inner child. These different emotions come up. These different feelings are all like in little cells. The different memories that are going on. And I just got back like 15 minutes ago. And Susan's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm texting.
Marci texts me at 6:30. Send me the link every week. So it's like, I'm before her. What's going on? Is she okay?
So luckily I'm 10 minutes away, and that's where my son works. And I leave him alone so he can work on his emotions, on what's going on. So I'm having these double whammies in between the Brat Pack and their emotions and how they're looking at it being, 30 years later, and how they were all segregated, and how this movie is. And I flashed on my daughter because she was moody, never happy.
Right.
And I'm like, maybe coulda, shoulda, woulda, but we didn't have those tools.
No,
as
we
to
didn't.
what was going on.
We had to go and look things up in an encyclopedia, like a large A, B, C, hundreds of volumes of these things. We didn't have it easy, guys, but we muddled through. You went to the library. You had to read. You had to research. We didn't have
I was
really cute. I guess Michelle Capps. She must have watched it.
What?
The movie. She said it's really cute.
The Inside Out too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very graphic. It's Pixar. It's Disney. It's really well done. The woman, the black woman that's in the bear, she's in it. She's got all kinds of awards.
Right.
So
we're a little small right now. Yes, or Webster's Dictionary. I used to ask my mother, and then we'll get into this question here. I used to ask my mother, Mom, and please explain this to me. If I can't spell, how do you look it up in a dictionary? I can't spell the word. She said, look it up. How?
Well, Travis.
I'm dyslexic. In my mother's defense, I'm dyslexic. So, yeah, looking crap up in a dictionary was nothing but a pain in the butt. She said she hasn't seen part 2 yet.
It just came out like a few days ago. But because Travis works in the movie theater,
Poopy, that's cool.
To go see it.
That's cool.
But it's funny because Travis would ask questions, and you can see him going deeper and deeper into these questions.
Right.
And I'm like, go Google it, which is now look it up in the dictionary.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole thing I was trying to explain, the Breakfast Club and Pretty in Pink.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what's Pretty in Pink? And my brain is like going crazy at trying to explain it to it.
Yeah.
Like, go Google it, because we're watching the documentary, and he's like, oh, it sounds interesting, before all the social media, what we had to do with emotions, and I'm going back into my 80s.
So I mean, think about it this way, and then we'll, like I said, we'll get into this question, but I just brought up a thought. We grew up with a cat trying to attack a mouse, and then the dog beating up the mouse, and a rabbit who drove a grown man crazy, but yet we're fine.
Right. Oh, you're talking about the cartoon.
No censorship about those cartoons. None. And we grew up and we're fine, you know? So it was pretty cool. But here's a
they're like
question.
this Bert and Ernie gay. I'm like, where are these people coming up
What
with
is
these
it? You
things?
know what? It's a freaking cartoon. Leave it
I
alone.
know.
And now they're getting into, I was really into Scooby-Doo. Why does Scooby and Shaggy always have the munchies? Are they burnouts? Who cares? You didn't see it. They're hungry all the time. What's the big deal? So, but yes, I know everybody's, it's a very strange situation, but
Well,
let's get into this question.
My sister wouldn't let me watch cartoons, and she reminded me of the Wicked Witch of the West.
Right.
And so now I have to learn to embrace like the Pixar movies.
Yes.
Because I wasn't allowed to watch those things. What are you
Michelle's laughing? Michelle is laughing because it's true. You know, we seen Wiley, what is it? Wiley Coyote and the Roadrunner. Wiley Coyote must have got blown up how many times? Guess what, guys? We didn't go out there with firecrackers and blow ourselves up. Why? Because we knew it was a cartoon.
Well, then they come up with strange ones. That cat dog where they had the cat on one and the dog on the other.
Yeah, and I don't think that was our era.
No, I looked at it like
not at all. All right, guys, here's the question. What is self-worth? What is it to you? Now, don't confuse self-worth for self-esteem. There's a difference, believe it or not. But certainly self-worth refers to a sense of your own value as a human being, often synonymous. I always have trouble with that word, with self-esteem. It's about recognizing your inherent worth regardless of external achievements or actions. In other words, self-worth is more about you rather than what you do. So let's see, Michelle's definition, how you value yourself. Very good. What do you say? What is self-worth to you?
Well, you have to teach people what your self-worth is. Like I remember reading, because it was funny because I brought this up to Susan. Susan's like, we're just going to chat. I'm like, well, why don't we do unworthiness? And I guess she thought about it and decided, oh, okay.
Then I looked up, hey, self-worth. That's good.
She had to process it a little bit.
Yeah, it took me about 10 minutes. I was like, okay. Then I came out, I was like, oh, I do that. See, I don't usually come up with the ideas for these shows. She does. I just research it.
I'm in the bathtub and I'm going, I know what we need to do.
Yes.
Because I read this article about how this father had given his daughter this old car.
Yeah.
And so she went to different places, and one said it was crappy, and one said it was this and that, and it doesn't matter where you go. And it turned out to be like, oh, it's a 19 something or other. It's a classic. And so because this is the stuff I had to learn. I was told I was stupid. I'll be nothing but a immigrant worker. I was a pig. My dad would throw these things away.
Right.
And this is why I'm like, I need to help people, teach them to take back. No, I'm not going to put up with this,
Right.
And you have to give the boundaries. And if you lose them, oh, well, then they weren't worth it in the first place.
Exactly. Some of us, like you've had the bad childhood. Me, I was just always so busy that I didn't have the time or the energy to do what I wanted to do for me. And I think that's why the last couple times I went to the beach, I mean, I'm sore as hell today because I went to the beach again, but I had a lot of fun. I was actually able to enjoy myself. JR and I had a blast doing it. But here's a question for you listeners out there, okay? Now, self-worth versus self-esteem. Now, self-esteem and self-worth are actually related, but they have important differences. Okay, self-esteem describes how you think and feel about yourself, which actually changes based on your mood, circumstances, performances, or approval and others. Self-worth, is more global and a stable form of self-esteem that actually comes from knowing and believing your worth as a person. Now, let's go back into what Marci was saying, what she went through. Now, even though this is what she went through, her self-esteem might have been low, but as she listened to her talk, her self-worth is higher.
The one that I love is Dr. Brene Brown. And she's the one that talks about excellence versus perfection.
Right.
And she also brought up, she's written all these books and she's gotten me sane. But what she explained as to our self worth, she says, our guilt is I did something wrong. Shame is I am something wrong.
Right.
And my daughter, like years ago, wrote, I'm ashamed of you. And I'm like, like I said, let's go for coffee. And I had to be in a clear set of mind to write her, but I had to give back to her, like, well, this is, you want to say I'm this, or you're not, she's telling me I'm not going to be a victim to your family. So it took me a year. I cleared out more stuff. Right. And I gave guidelines because she thinks she's like some doctor. It's like, well, how are you being responsible? And a house is not a home. And I'm like, I went into debt.
To me, it sounds like she's hitting your self-esteem more than your
She's
self-worth.
Trying to make me feel guilty. Right. A lot of they'll transfer it, and I'm like, I went into debt so you could go to your modeling school.
Right.
I went into debt, for whatever. So I had to give her back, and take ownership, but not, blame on her.
Right.
As to what was going on. She may or she may not talk to me. What was interesting is, I always have my visions. I had a vision where there was like this infant, and it looked like my daughter, but it could have been a part of myself, where I was taking off this giant diaper. So I looked up diaper, and the diaper has to do with yourself and how you feel about yourself. And as I took the diaper off, it's like the infant was growing bigger and bigger. So there's these aspects instead of animals. It's like the crap we deal with, or the stuff that we're releasing, or our inner child, or whatever it is, where we can start growing up instead of being stuck as far as that energy level.
Right. So let's separate. What we're going to do right now is we're going to separate self-worth from self-esteem. Okay. Now, self-worth is slightly different than self-esteem, as I said in the beginning. Now, and again, I put these little slides up in case there's something I miss. It's there for you guys to read too if you want to. But research actually describes self-worth as a broader, more stable form of self-esteem and a less influenced by the outside or inside factors. Instead, focusing on specific traits, skills, circumstances, and achievements. Self-worth actually describes the core belief you have about your worth value. A core belief tends to be consistent over time, which is why self-worth is less likely to change in response to feeling, thoughts, behavior, and circumstances. Now, a person with high self-worth believes they are actually believed to have a more stable and positive form of self-esteem. Now, it provides protection against stress, emotional problems, while it also makes a person healthier, happier, and more successful. Now, and again, some of the traits. If you have high self-worth, you are more likely to believe you are good, worthy, and lovable, regardless of what's happening in your life. Feel deserving of love and respected by others. Aspects of loving yourself as you are now, with no conditions or expectations. Practice self-compassion and treat yourself with kind, careness, and respect. Believe in your potential to grow, learn, and change and improve. Now, have flaws and make mistakes. They don't threaten, and it also doesn't identify your worth. It's just who we are. That's the definition of self-worth there.
Well, and love is a learned behavior. So a lot of times, like I was brought up the rescuer, you know,
Right.
my father would throw my stuff away, or the guilt, or whatever. And I had to step by step, take all that stuff back.
Mm.
And it's a process.
Oh,
And a
yeah.
lot of people will sense, or they will test you to see how much they can get away with you. And then as you give your boundaries more and more, then they'll either work with you or they're just going to fade away.
Exactly.
You
You
know,
know. So
and they'll respect you for it.
let's see if we can find the difference, okay? And again, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to message us in the chat. Now, self-esteem is, like I said, self-esteem is slightly different than self-worth. Let's see, self-esteem. Because self-esteem involves your thoughts and feelings about yourself and your level of confidence, it isn't stable or constant. Instead, it depends heavily on your outer world of people, which Marci is talking about, tasks, external information used to compare, judge, and even evaluate yourself. Now, self-evaluations that actually determine your self-esteem are largely based on what personal strengths and weaknesses you most focus on, positive and negative feedback you get from others, your general mood, stress level, emotional states, comparisons, comparisons you make between yourself and others, okay, whether or not you reach a goal or an expectation, and how you make sense of yourself and your experiences. This is what actually defines self-esteem. So when you evaluate yourself based on these, and again, this is all according to my research, this is what you get for your self-esteem. But your self-esteem is always changeable depending on what happens. Like, say if you went out and there was a poop load of negative people around you, if you can't walk away because it's a family affair or a family event and you're in the center of all this negativity, it's going to affect your self-esteem. If you can walk away from it and just don't do negativity at all, which I do a lot on a regular basis, I choose not to do anything negative. That's just my thing. So if I'm outside and I'm smoking and something comes up, I'm like, dude, I don't do negativity, and out I go. I leave. I don't want it around me, and that's my choice because I think I value my worth. I think that's how it connects, correct?
Yeah, again, I was thinking about the whole Dr. Brene Brown. It's like the shame, I am the problem. And so you internalize all this stuff
Right.
versus the guilt, I did a problem.
Mm.
And you're kind of outside of it as
Right.
far as what was going on. And so if you can't, guilt is anger toward inward. And if you don't deal with the guilt, it turns into depression. Now, I'll
Exactly.
be remorseful on something. I'll say I'm sorry or I'll be accountable,
Right.
but I'm not going to feel guilty on something, because then that's internalized. I was brought up with guilt all my life.
Exactly.
And you've got to step away. Somebody's releasing a lot. I could feel explosions going.
It could be somebody that's listening to us because
That's what I'm saying.
I feel good. It must be all that
And
beach
that's why,
swimming.
again, it's like the authentic. And then as you're, with the family, as you're getting more and more into who and what yourself, they're going to separate more and more because you're not going to be the enabler. You're not going to be the clown. You're not going to be
The
whatever it
target.
is, and then they don't know what to do. So they
There
just
you go.
disassociate.
Bingo. Sorry.
It's okay.
That's exactly it. So this all fits together, the self-worth and the self-esteem. I don't even remember what half these slides are, but traits of self-esteem. Exactly, Michelle says. These are some of the traits of self-esteem, okay? And again, I don't remember if it's positive or negative, but when I read it, we'll find out together because I did these a while ago. All right. There are several characteristics of self-esteem. This is self-esteem characteristics, okay? Thoughts and feelings about certain traits or skills. This is all self-esteem. Can provide temporary boost in confidence, okay? Arise from self-judgment and evaluation, which Marci did arise from it. So her self-esteem is higher now than what it was back then. Finds value in the external world, which she does, and that's why she told you. I'm sorry I'm using you as the example tonight.
No,
But
it's
anyway,
fine. That's what I'm here
okay.
for.
Marci is the example. So it's these are all things that she's been through. So she was here, and then her self-esteem grew as she developed. Now find value in the external world, which is why she does what she does. Negative feedback and stress can actually undermine its value, which is why I walk away from any negative situation. I choose not to be around it. That's my choice. Why is it my choice? Because I value my worth. And you guys can do that too. Let's see, is fragile and less certain when threatened. And that's it. Your self-esteem can still be threatened. Use compassion and comparison to rise. Reflects the ego, a false self, a false persona of who you think you are, which you've been through in certain circumstances with some of your family as well. Is a scarce resource that needs constant renewal. It does. Your self-esteem needs constant renewal.
It's layer upon layer upon layer.
Yes.
It's a spiral. It doesn't make any difference. It's just, I'm still like I had the diaper taken off.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter. It's just like right now, I'm still processing the movie. I'm still processing last night.
Right.
My body is shaking, but it's feeling all those things I wasn't allowed to feel.
Exactly.
Growing up.
But see, that's why your self-worth is, we'll say, up here. Your
Right.
self-esteem sometimes when a memory comes is here, but you're always battling to bring them up to even. And that's what happens when individuals do have psychological trauma. That's what happens. You know, physical trauma or psychological trauma. Psychological is a little bit harder to heal. And I'm not saying that it's worse. I'm just saying it's harder to heal because it's not visible.
And that's why it's hard when you go to a psychologist or a therapist, because you only have an hour.
Exactly.
And then right once you get into that, then all of a sudden the time's up and it pushes back down. When I do the tones, it hits to the right side of the brain where it'll be inner child. There's no linear. It'll be like past lives. It'll be whatever's going on. But I wanted to mention a couple of things because I had to figure out the mentality of my sister, who I think is a sociopath, you know, as to what was going on. I read Mean Girls All Grown Up, which is kind of like compared to Mean Girls, but they talk about how, like, when there's a group of women and they will ostracize the one person because women used to go out and pick berries. Right. Or someone's on an aha moment. And then what happened is they segregated, so you're on your own. And instead of like being part of the group separated you. And so, you know, these mind games that these people do, and the women do it more grown up. They do it in covert ways, like, oh, that's a pretty dress. You know, when it makes it look like it's a compliment when they're actually putting you down. So you don't have you can't say anything because of the way that the manipulation is.
Sometimes. I think it really depends, because I think that us as individuals, because we're all individuals, I think if it's truly a sincere compliment, then people do take it that way. It really depends. If you've always been on the defensive, it's going to be more harder for you to.
Or you might take it a different way.
Exactly.
Whatever you say, people have a hard time with confirmation. And also I read something, I was watching about men. because I was talking about men and how they work. And they reinforce something where men's brains, it takes them a lot longer to process emotions. And
Some.
so,
Some
you know,
do, some don't.
yeah, it depends on what
Yeah.
was going on. But a lot of times, it depends on what the subject is or
Right.
what's going on. But they said that it'll be slower to get over onto the right side of the brain,
Yep.
and so it's again keeping it simple. And so people are like, well, why are you feeling that way right now? And they hadn't processed it yet.
Yeah.
It
See,
may take
it's
them like,
we'll
5
take, and
10 minutes.
again, we're going to take Marci again before we get into traits of self-worth. She says you can sense the genuine, is what Michelle said, but we're going to use Marci again.
Okay.
And I just had a brain fart. What the hell were we talking about there? My brain
Men's
just went.
brain. It's okay.
Damn it.
Well, we process a lot faster. And so it's
I
just,
totally spaced out what I was going to say.
don't worry, it'll surface. I'm going to hit a tone because it feels like it's time to release.
Okie
We've got a
dokie.
lot of people on today.
Yes.
All right, so this will help release whatever is surfacing, whatever you guys are feeling. The tones will hit to your inner child, your post traumatic. It isn't a specific thing, it's all energies that are going on that your body is giving permission to release.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, I've lost my voice. I was with Travis, and it's like, I don't know if my voice sounds different or not.
Nope.
Oh, then it's gotten better because I was doing stuff earlier. It's like somebody screaming, and it was really funny because I got out of the movie theater, and I'm not sure if it was like my brain was releasing stuff, but it was like so bright. I had to like almost watch whatever's going on, and I'm not sure if different energies were releasing on it.
Right.
And it's kind of funny our perceptions on how we see things.
Yeah, I
That
still
was
don't
going
remember
on.
what I was going to say. So,
You remember?
nope. Okay,
Okay.
so again, I'll remember it probably towards the end or later at night and go, ah, and there won't be anybody around.
All right, I'm going to hit low note, which is our more primal,
So, traits of self-worth.
Oh, you want to read that?
This is different. Traits of self-worth. Now, traits of self-worth actually include thoughts and feelings about the whole person, who you are, can provide a lasting feeling of security. Now, arises from self-acceptance and compassion is what it does. Does not have conditions or standards to be met. Finds value in the internal world, which is inside yourself. Is linked to emotional stability and self-control. I had a control issue one time. I actually finally got the hang of that. Feedback and stress reinforce with existing worth. Now, we want the feedback and stress that comes in. You need to learn to absorb it and take it as it is, and then, don't like all of a sudden it's like attack. No, it's not like that. Now, the more resilient to external threats, when people try to put you down, you actually have a barrier up that's going to help you. Use inner beliefs to reinforce the remaining stability. And you do inner belief systems, the I ams, which we do in the mirror, reflect one's value of your true self, who you truly are. Also is an abundant resource that is self-renewing. And that's what it is. If we truly believe, literally, this is us, the I ams, or I am, let's see, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am loved, I am prosperous, I am friendly, it's the I ams. And that's what it is as far as the I am things. But self-worth is slightly different than self-esteem. Self-worth, it's harder for external circumstances to hit us because we know our worth. But a lot of us will let the self-esteem affect the self-worth. So it feels like it's lower than what it is. You can understand that.
It's funny. It's like if you look at Saint Germain, William Shakespeare was Saint Germain. Saint Germain was also Merlin,
Uh-huh.
and he picked the name William Shakespeare because he's like, "Will I am shake the spear?"
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. I
you know,
am. Yeah, the I
you
am.
know, and people don't understand that whole mentality. But he was here to help bring us back into the same thing with Christ, Buddha,
Yeah.
all those other ones.
Which
They're
we
coming.
call the ascended masters, and other people will call them something different. So, yeah.
I've got a channel. This isn't going to be me, so I think we're getting to an apex of
You know?
energy to be released. You know, like the bubble's about ready to burst. That's what
Oh,
I'm doing.
no.
It's a rebirth, Susan. We have to die to be
I'm in
rebirthed.
a little kid mode, and I want to back the bubbles as they come.
Well, and that's what's good. We all need to play. You know, you played, and what I want to explain to you as far as at the water, the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean has negative ions. That cleanses our aura. So
Yes.
if we could get to those oceans, it helps release certain stuff.
Yeah, I just feel better.
Right. All right, I got to hit a low one, or they're going to hit a low one. Is anybody feeling lighter or releasing or feeling like that bubble about ready to burst? And I think with Howie, I think Howie's going through a rebirth. That's why he's going through his disease right now. His body has, like what you and I went through, yours with the teeth, mine with the
Yeah.
diabetes. We all have our catalysts that we have to go through. Anyway. That was a different one.
Yeah. Ayara.
More.
I could have sworn I heard Ayara.
You could have.
Yeah, you never know.
You know,
so we've got about 20 minutes left to the show. So, and again, at the end, we always just go into it. But there are actual steps to help you improve your self-worth. And I want to get into each one individually, but I'm going to list them to you for right now. The first one is stop looking outside to validate yourself. Don't look for outside approval for validation. Separate what you do from who you are. Okay? Stop competing and start connecting. Develop a more positive mindset. I want to get into each one of these individually. I found a little eyeball to put on this one, so I thought it was cute. I was having fun playing with this. Ever since I've been to the beach, I'm like a little kid. Creative. Yeah, it's just like I didn't realize how much I missed it, to where I'm ready to go out and get those big goggles, the little snorkels, so I can under the water looking for the shells and stuff. I don't know, I'm weird. Anyways, stop looking outside yourself for validation. And me, as somebody who creates things, I understand that, because at one time I did look for validation from outside. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? What do you think of this? But now I'm at the point when I create something, it's just something that needs to be created. I've learned that I'm enjoying it a lot more, the process, than what I was when I first started, if that makes sense. Now, research actually has proven that self-compassion actually pays dividends in almost all areas of life, including making you healthier, happier, and more successful. Being kinder in the way you talk and treat yourself is the key towards improving self-worth. Start this process by improving your self-care and self-talk. That's why I brought up the I ams. I am beautiful. I am funny. I am fun. I am just anything that's
Well,
positive.
it
Bring
hits to the
up those
core of
I
your
ams.
brain. It hits the core of the brain the same thing with Christ. I am the resurrection and the life.
Right.
And I want to bring up a couple of things. I flashed on Susan, who I did healings with in Spokane. She
Okay.
did pottery, and I thought about you with that. And there's different times where I'm like, Susan, I want that. She goes, no, that's not meant for you. It was almost like she would make things that would fit. She did end up giving me other stuff in exchange.
Right.
But as we get ourselves, the higher we get with our self confidence, the less other people affect us. You know,
Exactly.
it's an energy like, oh, really? And then they can't do anything about it.
It's the enjoyment process of the creation. Like when I learned to crochet, now
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. I can actually make homemade gifts for people now for Christmas. And to me, a homemade gift is something from the heart,
Oh, I keep all my
especially
gifts that people
when you
give
give
me.
it to the family members. So that is something that's like, okay, that's really cool. I've learned I never wore dresses. I am more comfortable in a dress now. I wear dresses every day. I'm very comfortable. And I think and again, it has a lot to do with the process of things that I've been doing, getting rid of all negativity, getting rid of the past, having all those teeth out. There was a lot of them, but you know what? It's done. And I can eat pizza now. Sorry. Anyways, let them eat cake. No, I had fish and chips for my birthday. Yum, 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 yum. So there's a lot of things that when you do start working on yourself, like Marci was working on herself, I'm working on myself, I find that I am really I'm happy. I know I'm loved. I just feel, I don't know, good. I
Oh,
feel really good.
authoritative. And it's funny
Yeah.
because like I had to put out a male energy all the time because I was not protected, or my father abused me, or my sister abused me, and it was
Yeah.
like, it's like my mom would coach me at the door, and so I've had to
Yeah.
um, embrace that female energy,
Yes.
and it took a long time to get that balance. But again, if you look into the yin and the yang, the yin energy is the introspective, it's the balance, it's the
Right.
feeling, which I was allowed to. The yang is putting that energy out. And so if we
Exactly.
get into that whole yin and yang energy, it's like, okay, I'm angry. And then let's go introspective. Why am I angry? What is this triggering? And then,
It's
you look
because you were
why.
not allowed to express how you felt.
Right.
And I know that's a big part of it. That is a part of you I've always known.
Right. And
And
it's all the training. That's why it's like I go to the
exactly.
movies and I'm shaking because I'm like, my body, and this funny with Travis wanted to rationalize. He's like, well, what do you think about the movie? I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
well,
was actually watching that before the show. Her and Travis were having a really detailed conversation about, some of the psychological and emotional aspects of this movie. So, and he was very interested in asking questions, that's
well,
pretty freaking
well, that's
awesome.
what we do. We go to the
Yeah.
movies. We talk about. We saw like,
Yeah.
if you guys ever want to see the documentary on, you know, Andrew McCarthy's, The Breakfast Club and The Pretty in
Right.
Pink, and the different emotions. And I think he's understanding and grasping these
Right.
different things that are going on. Where I didn't condemn him. It was like into Little Ponies, like when he was 12 or 13,
Nothing wrong with that. My
and the
sister was
Bronies.
into Matchmark cars. I mean,
I know.
it
So
doesn't matter.
he was afraid I would condemn him for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. And he still has them, you know. They're
Yeah.
still. I got angry one time because he threw some of my stuff away. And I started throwing his ponies. How's it feel? So all these emotions are coming out. I'm going, I didn't destroy them. I just
Right.
threw them on the ground,
Right.
But I'm like, his dad would throw things away. My dad would throw things away. But it's just, I just let him feel whatever he needed to feel. And
This
now,
is my son. Jacob, I don't have any sugar. So I can't make cookies for the poor. I'm sorry. I have to go to the store and get sugar. I have just enough of my coffee.
And how
I
old
do
is he?
apologize. Crazy org. I think, Jacob, what are you, 33? 33? Early 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, he's my oldest. So he always does that. He's hilarious. He comes on and talks about he wants this cookie, that cookie. And then all of a sudden I had a list of people, remember, that wanted the recipe for that. They were like, you got a recipe for that? All right. So here's number 2. Number 33. Yeah, number 2. Separate what you do from who you are. A little hard to do this. Now, while you can still have goals for yourself, try not to wrap your identity or worth or value into these. Now, instead, work to get in touch with your feelings, beliefs, and your core values. The things you want, need, care about most in life. This reminds you that your worth is not tied to your successes and your failures. Also, helping you to get in touch with the deeper part of yourself. Better make him some cookies. Damn, Jake, they're ganging up on me. I'm out of sugar. So that's number 2. It's the separation of identity and self-worth. Now, my self-worth has just gone back to, it's like a focal point of taking care of me and doing what I want, spending time with my man, and just all those things I was doing. I started refocusing on certain things I want to have. But if the goal I set for myself doesn't go through, it's not going to drop me anymore. Like, it would be like, oh my God, what happened? I just, nobody lives. Now it's like, it just happens. So I just continue with the goal. I keep the positive mindset. So for me, it's easier to separate. Chocolate chip is so easy, girl. I have a whoopie pie recipe with a peanut butter filling, and let me tell you, it's the freaking bomb. Sorry. Anyways,
Well,
now I'm getting the munchies.
and it's kind of funny because I was reading, because I'll go to the casinos and
Right.
they make it where the smells and they have all these other stuff, and the dopamine, it's like the dopamine is the goal. And I'm like, okay, because they have a part of the brain where if you spend more money, you get more upset compared to if you spend less money, you're like, it's okay, whatever. It's
Right.
all psychological. And also, anxiety and excitement are on the same part of the brain. They're just a little bit different. So if you can switch
Yep.
the anxiety into excitement, so I'm like trying to train myself about the dopamine, where
Right.
I'm not, because they said once you get the dopamine, then it drops. Then you want to start all over again.
It's like a sugar rush.
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep this level. I'm going to try
Right.
to sell the dopamine. I don't have dopamine. I'm just going to enjoy the moment of it. And if you
Right.
get out of that whole goal oriented thing, I've got to win. I've got to do this. I've got to, whatever it is that's going on, and just keep, what are you laughing about?
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because and I had this like picture of this person saying, just one more quarter, one more. I'm going to hit on this one. Sorry.
Right. You know, and then I spent all my money, and then I'm like, okay, so now I have 2 weeks with no money, but I will nickel and dime everything. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is not going to be a normal. And this is like the state of mind, but I get bored and I go play, you
Right.
know. But it's all like whether you want to paint, whether you want to draw, whether you want to do artwork. It's all
Exactly.
that anxiety of I've got to do all this. And the whole thing with people out of control, it's like when your outside influences are stronger than you're trying to control the inside. And so now,
Exactly.
as you're getting stronger and stronger, Susan, you're
Yep.
going to, I don't care. If I don't
Yep.
finish it, who cares? I'll do it when I want to do it instead of like, I've got to do this,
Yeah.
because you
I mean,
lose
I
the
still have
passion.
goals I set for myself, but it doesn't define who I am.
Right.
It might take longer than what I initially wanted, but I won't give up because I'm not the type of person to give up. That's just not who I am.
Me
Let's
either.
get into the second to the last one. There's one more after this. And this was a big thing for me, for somebody that does create a lot of artistic things and tries to sell them. I got into that competitive competition crap. And it was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. That's not what I started this for. So stop competing and start connecting. That's the biggest thing. Interpret yourself when you begin to compare yourself to others or feel the urge to compete. Don't do that. Instead, look for common ground, similarities, and
Collaborate.
things you can bond and connect over. This will actually help interpret the unhelpful cycle of compressions and excuse me, compressions and judgments that feed into the self-esteem issue. And this is an issue, while also helping you feel more connected to people, which helps boost your self-worth. And I understand that. Back doing the arts and crafts and everybody's doing it, becomes like competitive. And I'm just not. And I think I try to become more competitive, but that's not why I do this.
Well,
I do this because because I'm competing, but I do it because I'm creating something with my energy, and I know eventually it will find the right place. And I
right
think
person.
that's what I've learned.
I love the statement that says, older souls or mature people collaborate.
Right,
Younger souls or lower vibes compete.
right.
And I'm going to bring up, like, when Susan and I were doing our Awakening the Unknown years ago, and she had like Andy Garcia, and she's like, oh, you're not making as much money as Andy is. Well, he was doing free readings, I wasn't doing that. So that's why I decided I'm going to back off on this whole thing, because I'm not going to compete. The right people will come to me when it's meant to be, but it's not like I need to prove myself to anybody. And if you have to prove anything to anybody, they're not worth proving anything to. So if you readjust, redefine, re-goal, and say, okay, I'm coming from this angle,
Right.
like Susan and I are now collaborating. There's
Yeah.
no competition. There's a great love. There's an
Yeah. That's
understanding.
to me, that's a whole nother story, and I'm gonna leave that there.
No, well, that's why I left. I just
Yeah.
want to use an
Leave it there.
example. That
Just
was a
leave it.
past. That was a long time
Yeah.
ago.
That
We're
was a long time
collaborating
ago.
now.
Exactly right.
That's all done.
Find another way to do it. To do whatever failed. Exactly, it didn't fail because, to me, there's no such thing as a failure. There is lessons.
Right.
If it didn't work this way, try it this way.
Try a
If
different
it doesn't
angle.
work that way, try another way.
Right.
It's like, when you're young, you're energetic. Okay, you can do this, that, and the other thing. Well, when you get older, you got to learn how to do shit differently because your mind says, yeah, go for it. Your body says, what are you, nuts? So I've got Samantha over here showering you guys with positive vibes. So the last one in this one is develop a more positive mindset. Now, a positive, optimistic mindset forms a mental condition that is conducive to high self-worth, while negative thinking contributes to low self-esteem and low self-worth. Negative thinking is often a bad mental habit, but it can be broken with constant practice, which I did break the cycle. I chose, I know my worth, so I chose not to be around negativity. And that's why I've separated from a few people in the past, but
Me too.
nothing to do with them. It just because I knew what I wanted in my life and what I didn't want. So that's what happened. Now, here are some ways to actually develop a more positive mindset. I have to belch again. Wow. So this is, yeah. Find ways your biggest weaknesses and flaws could also be your strength. And I think I did that. but we always are learning as well, too. Look for lessons in the past. Past, they say mistakes and failures. I don't believe in mistakes. I don't believe in failures. They just weren't meant to be at that time. So look for the lessons from the past, the lessons that you're meant to learn, what it is you're meant to go forward. Look at challenges and hardships as opportunities for growth and learning. See all feedback, even the bad, as valued information to help you improve. I got one for that one too. Back in the day, because I'm dyslexic, I can't spell. People would constantly come on and correct my spelling. It used to hurt my feelings. Now, I don't care. I laugh off half of what I'm trying to say and it doesn't come out right. I find it hilarious. Now, the experiencing difficult emotion helps actually make you stronger, because what are you doing? You're facing things. Like I faced my fear. Trust me, it was a fear. I cried like a blubbering baby, and my man was still there backing me up. So look for ways to make things better after a mistake versus giving up. Never give up. Don't quit. Remember, victory of Valhalla, people. That's the way that Vikings are raised. Victory of Valhalla. We won't give up. So we don't believe in mistakes. We don't believe in ending it. We just continue and we find alternate routes and alternate ways to do things. If this makes sense to you. And that's the end of my slideshow. See? And that was my slideshow for the day. Any thoughts, Marci, on this topic today? She picked the topic. I just researched it and went to town.
When you take a bath, that's when your guides come in. That's when you're in the most. And so I'll be on the toilet or I'll be in the bathtub, and I'm like, I feel like I needed to express this because this is what I'm going through. And
Right.
as I'm growing and learning, we're all growing and learning. And as if we get the more tools of what's been going on, then it empowers us. And that's why I was like thinking about the different subjects of self-worth.
Right.
Or I was talking about currency and how people will sell you out. If
Right.
there's a choice and it's like, oh, I'm going to pick this person over you, then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to back down.
Everything happens in its own time for
Right.
its own reasons.
And there's
And
no
we don't know at
anger.
the time. It's how
There's
we
no
choose
anger. It's
to
the
react.
timing, you know?
Yes.
And there's times I've let other people in my life, and then we had to finish up what was not complete. Or there's times it's like with Susan, we reconnected.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of it like, is this right? What feels right?
Exactly. Oh, you froze.
Then
You froze.
even like, she coming in all the time. And she was talking to Howie, and Howie's like, go talk to her,
Yeah.
and we're in a new beginning. And it's a
Yeah,
whole new energy.
exactly. Because you froze there for a minute. Must have been the energy. But see, everything, even sometimes when we are going through negative situations, we have a lot of negatives around us, so we can't see where it is we're truly meant to go,
We're in the
or
middle of the
the
tornado.
lesson we're meant to, because we're too focused on all this negativity. So, and that's where it's like, easiest way to describe this, it's 8:00, but easiest way to describe this is parents. Oh my God, if you are a parent of, and you have more than one, or have more than one child, there's going to be arguments happening. There's going to be a lot of chaos happening, because it's just the way it is. Kids fight, kids argue, but they'll get through it. It happens that way, but they learn. Some of them take longer than others, but eventually they learn, and that's really cool. All right, guys, what I want to say, and then we'll give Marci a word, is do me a favor, guys. I am asking that everybody go over to the Susan Swanbeck one page. I am short 17 people now, 16 people now to follow me, and that's going to help me out so I can start showing you guys more of the items that I've been creating. I can't go live to show anything until I have 100 people on that page. So I'm asking for your help. That would be really cool. But that's only for the, crystals, the creations and stuff like that. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the Rift Nation Network. Love it, live it, breathe it, and send those awesome vibes out to Howie. Let's get him healed. Heal. Heal. I command you to heal. Sorry. Go ahead.
And I wrote to him, I'm like, if he wants me to do some, I will. But I love the line that says, anger is emotions that don't know where to go.
Exactly.
And behind that is the sadness, the frustration. But when people are dumping the anger onto us,
yes,
it's like they don't know how to project that anger that goes on.
Exactly.
But you can't be responsible for whatever they're going to dump onto you.
Exactly.
They need to look at themselves.
Responsible for your own actions. But did you learn the lesson when you had the negative reaction? Did you take better control of yourself? Did you choose to move away from a negative situation
and work through it? You can't just move away. You've got to work through it.
Right.
Why am I angry? Let me feel this emotion.
Right.
To let it release.
Exactly.
Just we may not subconsciously know why we're doing what we're doing. Like
exactly.
I go to the movies, I'm seeing all these different things I wasn't allowed to feel. And then I had to zip over here, and then my body's like going like that.
Yep. Don't absorb that energy. I get that. Do not absorb the negative energy.
And then Travis is like, and what do you think? While Susan and I are talking. But I think he wanted to learn to process his emotions too. Not in a bad way. I got to hit one more note to release.
Okay, and I'm out of coffee.
That got my head to spin. Left and the right side of the brain. What'd that feel, Susan?
Sorry, I feel like a big kid today. And ever since I've been going to the beach again, I just feel...
Well, the more we learn to play, the more we get in our authentic self. That's the real self. It's like we get out of that adult self.
The first, when I tried to go, I think it took me a while to, I guess, process the loss of a parent. My last parent, I'm now the elder of the family. It was like, shit, I don't want to be the elder. So, you go and you process all this stuff, and then you go through stuff, and then okay, I'll take part of the elder, but I'm still going to be a kid and play.
And that's healthy.
Yes.
You need that balance.
It really is. Any last words, Marci?
No, I got to hit one more low tone. Is everybody releasing stuff or feeling?
Remember, guys, look, all fingertips and thumb together. Create that triangle.
Oh, that was an interesting one. We pulled stuff out.
Yeah, see, it's a really good thing I'm not. I like horror movies because that might have made me go, oh my God. No, I didn't. See, I just, ever since I've been going to the beach, I'm getting this. This is truly me. I am a goofball by nature. But a lot of you guys only see the serious side of me. And now it's just the whole me is coming out.
Well, people soul kill, situations soul kill. And we're getting those parts back to ourselves and who and what we are. And so it's all empowering. And then more light and laughter.
What? Exactly. What you do when Marci's doing her tones just before we log off here. I want you guys to do like a little triangle. What you're doing is you're putting your fingertips together and then you put your thumb, create a triangle. Put that triangle where you need it. What it does is it'll push the energy in. Play with the children. I wish. I've got 3 grandchildren in Florida and 2 in Kentucky. I could play with his grandkids, though. They call me Nana.
How cute.
All right, guys.
I hope this all helped you. There's a book a workbook of Wizard of Oz that I read, which the diploma was really important because I never got, barely got it. But work through it. Get workbooks. Get that energy out.
Yes, exactly. I agree. And if not, come talk to us and we'll help you with it.
That's what we're here for.
All right. This is Susan and Marci on Becon in the Dot, which is the RNN Presents. So remember, be yourself, be cool. Remember, guys, love yourself, no matter what. Peace.
Accept yourself no matter what.
Yes. Now I've got to find the purple green. I got to relabel these things.
Bye, guys.